The rain had been falling over Manhattan since before sunrise. By 7 in the morning, the streets were shining like glass beneath the gray sky. Black luxury cars stopped outside Sterling Industries, while executives hurried through the enormous marble lobby. 42 floors above the city, one woman stood before a wall of windows. Victoria Sterling, 37 years old, billionaire, CEO of Sterling Industries. She had built her company into a global empire before most people her age had even figured out what they wanted from life. Victoria was brilliant, disciplined, ruthless. Her employees knew one rule better than any other: never bring Victoria a problem without a solution. But that morning, somewhere in Brooklyn, another problem was waiting for a man who had no solution left. His name was Daniel Carter, 41 years old, single father, warehouse operations supervisor. And exhausted beyond words, Daniel had been awake since 5. He had packed his 9-year-old daughter Lily's lunch, prepared her breakfast, fixed a broken zipper on her school bag, and made sure she caught the bus. Then he had checked his bank account, $23.17. Daniel stared at the number. His rent was due that morning. His paycheck wasn't coming until Friday, 3 days away. He closed his eyes. Just 3 days, he whispered. Behind him, Lily appeared in the doorway. "Dad," Daniel quickly locked his phone. "Yes, sweetheart. Are we late?" "No." She looked at him carefully. "You look worried," smiled. "I'm not worried." Lily tilted her head. "You always say that when you are," laughed softly. "Maybe I'm getting predictable," kissed her forehead. "Put your shoes on." She ran toward the bedroom. Daniel waited until she disappeared. Then he looked at the rent notice sitting on the kitchen counter. Final reminder. He picked up his phone. His landlord had always been strict. Daniel hated asking for favors, but he had no choice. He opened his messages. He typed, "Can I pay rent late? I promise I'll have it Friday." Without looking carefully, he pressed send. 3 seconds later, Daniel's blood ran cold. He looked at the recipient. His face went completely pale. The message hadn't gone to his landlord. It had gone to Victoria Sterling, CEO. "Oh no." Nearly dropped the phone. He immediately typed, "I'm sorry. Wrong person. Please ignore that. Send." Then, "I sincerely apologize, Miss Sterling. Send." Daniel stared at the screen. Nothing. He grabbed his coat. He had to get to work. Maybe she wouldn't notice. Maybe she'd never read it. Maybe. His phone buzzed. Daniel stopped. One message from Victoria. "I saw it." Daniel closed his eyes. "I'm finished." Sterling Industries. Victoria was sitting inside a private conference room when the message arrived. She had just been reviewing a $900 million acquisition. Her CFO was talking. Victoria wasn't listening. She was staring at her phone. "Can I pay rent late? I promise I'll have it Friday." Then she saw the sender, Daniel Carter. She frowned. "Who is Daniel Carter?" Her assistant looked up. "Daniel Carter. Yes. Operations supervisor. He's been with us for 6 years. Victoria looked at the message. "Why is an operations supervisor asking me about rent?" The assistant hesitated. "I don't know. Find his personnel file." "Right now?" Victoria looked up. "Yes." Within minutes, Daniel's file appeared on her tablet. Victoria began reading. 6 years of service. No disciplinary actions, no complaints. 5 consecutive years of perfect attendance. 3 performance awards. 4 promotions declined. Victoria stopped. Why did he decline promotions? Her assistant checked. He requested schedules that allowed him to pick up his daughter. Victoria looked up. He has a daughter, 9 years old. Victoria continued reading. Then she saw his salary. Her expression changed. "That's all he makes?" "Yes." Victoria stared at the number. Daniel was responsible for one of the company's largest distribution centers. He supervised nearly 180 employees. He had saved the company millions during a supply chain crisis. And yet he was struggling to pay rent. Victoria looked at the message again. She typed, "You don't need to apologize." Daniel received the message while standing inside a crowded subway train. His heart sank. He typed carefully, "Thank you, ma'am." "It won't happen again," Victoria replied. "I hope not." Daniel swallowed. Then another message appeared. "How much is your rent?" Daniel stared at it. He didn't answer. Another message arrived. "You don't have to tell me then, but answer this instead. When was the last time someone helped you?" Daniel's eyes burned. He couldn't remember. His wife had died 3 years earlier. Since then, Daniel had become everything Lily needed: father, cook, driver, homework helper, protector. He had learned how to smile when he was exhausted, how to say "we're fine" when they weren't, how to hide bills from his daughter, how to carry everything alone. His phone buzzed again. Daniel, he typed, "I'm okay, Miss Sterling." "Really?" Victoria answered. "Your file says you've worked 27 Saturdays this year." Daniel froze. "Another message, you're taking tomorrow off." "Paid?" Daniel stared at the screen. "I can't afford to miss work," Victoria replied. "You can. I'm your CEO." Daniel almost smiled. Then came another message. "And because I'm ordering you to take care of yourself for one day." Daniel put the phone in his pocket. But it buzzed again. He opened it. "Your rent is paid." Daniel's eyes widened. He immediately typed, "What?" Victoria replied, 6 months." Daniel stood completely still as passengers moved around him. "Ma'am, I can't accept that." "Good." Daniel frowned. Then another message appeared. "Because I'm not offering charity." Daniel's heart began pounding. "Then what is it?" Victoria answered, "A promotion." Daniel stared. "What position?" "Director of Regional Operations." His mouth fell open. The salary was almost 3 times his current income. But before Daniel could respond, Victoria sent another message. "There's something else." Daniel waited. "Someone has been stealing money from Sterling Industries." His smile disappeared. "How much?" "Approximately $14 million." Daniel stared at the screen. Then Victoria sent the message that changed everything. "The money is being moved through your department." Daniel's heart stopped. "What are you saying?" Victoria replied, "Someone is using your credentials." Daniel looked around the subway. Suddenly, the crowded train didn't feel crowded anymore. He felt watched. He typed, "I didn't do this." Victoria answered immediately. "I know." Daniel froze. How? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, Victoria wrote, "Because whoever did it made one mistake." Daniel swallowed. "What mistake?" Victoria sent a photograph. It showed a confidential financial transfer. Daniel recognized the account immediately. His face turned white. That account belonged to someone inside Sterling Industries, someone he trusted, someone who had access to the highest levels of the company. Daniel typed, "Who is it?" Victoria replied, "That's what I need you to help me find out." Daniel stared at the message. Then another arrived. "Come to my office at 8:00 tomorrow morning." Daniel hesitated. "As my employee?" Victoria's answer came almost instantly, "No." "As the only person in this company I believe was framed." Daniel looked through the subway window as Manhattan's lights appeared in the distance. He had started the morning worried about paying rent. Now his CEO had offered him a promotion, paid his rent, and told him someone had stolen $14 million using his name. But Daniel didn't know the most frightening part yet, because while he was reading Victoria's messages, someone else inside Sterling Industries was watching the same financial records. And that person had just discovered that Victoria Sterling had contacted Daniel. A final message appeared on Daniel's phone, not from Victoria, from an unknown number. "Stop asking questions, Daniel." He stared at it. Then another message appeared. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." Daniel slowly looked up. For the first time in 3 years, the exhausted single father wasn't thinking about surviving until Friday. He was thinking about protecting his daughter, because someone had just threatened him. And if they came after Lily, Daniel Carter was ready to fight back.